Sulva ma'am, please start. Kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, Pallavi ma'am. Hello all and good morning to one and all here. Today we are going to achieve another milestone of Pediatricians Action for Teenagers Healthcare by Maharashtra AHA and the brainchild of Nashik AHA, Dr. Atul Kanjikar sir. In this program today we are going to ask few speakers. They are very well known to you all. Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir from Ahmednagar and Dr. Amrita Durge from Mumbai. Before starting the program, I'll just ask our
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Audio is lost from Dr. Silva's side. We'll wait for that.
Okay, sir.
Praveen sir, I think Sulva ma'am was asking for the opening remark from your side.
Yeah, so I think
And-
I thought I should ask, but good, I got the message. So, good morning, everyone. And Sunday morning, when everybody's relaxed, is the best time to learn when you're trying to de-stress yourself. Today, we have got two excellent speakers who are going to enlighten us on adolescent health and its relation with emotions and emotional intelligence. So I just want to give you two examples. I was recently in the Chaplin Museum where I found two very good quotes, which made me realize. The first quote was that Charlie Chaplin saying that mirror is my best friend because when I cry, it does not laugh back at me. That was really moving. And the second quote was that I like to walk in the rain because no one can see my tears flowing. So, but from this we come to know that even the greatest entertainer who makes others laugh, his emotional status from inside. So after all, everyone is a human being. Okay, whoever is in life and requires support of his family and friends and social circle. And this is what we are all about. As we know now that the infectious disease march is on the wane, we are seeing less and less of infectious disease, and non-communicable illnesses are on the increase. And one part of this non-communicable illness is also the social and emotional illnesses or stresses that we have to tackle. And the best way to learn from it is to hear from the experts. So I hand over the reins of the program to Dr. Sulba and ask her to invite the speakers to start their talk. Over to you, Dr. Sulba.
Yeah, good morning to you all. I will just ask Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir to start his talk. As we all know, when we as a pediatrician go for any call for a delivery and for a newborn or a preterm child, when we see the child is getting asphyxiated or is having HIE, try to do everything to save that child. And also we think about the intact neurodevelopmental achievement of that child. So in this regard, when we come to the adolescent age of that child, we always know that an adolescent should we have an intact mind as well as intact body for a good successful outcome in the life. So to start with today's first session, I will like to ask Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir to be ready with his talk. We all know that Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir is having a great fellowship in Indian Academy of Pediatrics, is having DCS, PGDAP and PGD MLS degrees in his hand, as well as he's well-known practicing pediatrician in Ahmednagar. He is known for his pediatric neurodevelopmental assessment as well as the adolescent health. And we all know that he is doing a great work in counseling the medical students for taking their PG and post-PG degrees in various colleges in Maharashtra as well as all over India. Without wasting much time, I'm going to ask Dr. Suchit sir to start his talk.
Thank you, madam. Can you see my slides, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's full screen and moving also.
Okay.
Kindly.
So now, at the outset, I must thank Dr. Amol Pawar and Sulbha Pawar for and Gokhale sir for giving this opportunity to share with you the views regarding the emotional mental health. Actually, it is very important that emotional intelligence to improve the mental health. And nowadays, actually, all parents also know about emotional intelligence and emotional health, and they ask regarding that. And emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive emotions and to access and generate emotions so as to assist thought, and to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. So it is very important that whenever and the most important part is that emotional intelligence can be changed at any age, and that is very important. That's why it is very useful for achieving the success. So emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive emotion, to access and generate emotion, and to assist the thought. So that is very important. So all these factors are important from that point of view. And emotional literacy. So what is emotional literacy? It is the ability to identify, understand, and express emotions in a healthy way, and is the capacity to recognize, label, and understand feelings in self and others. So here we must know that actually we know that language is very important in the social world, and language serves as a tool to communicate, and much of what language communicate is our feeling about ourselves and our relationship with others. So it is important that every child should be emotionally literate. So emotional literacy is very important, because then they can identify their own emotions, as well as they can actually recognize and label their as well as emotions from the others also. So children actually with a strong foundation in emotional health, what is important is that they are engaged in less destructive behavior. If they are having very strong foundation, then they are healthier, they are less lonely, they are less impulsive, they are focused, they have greater academic achievement, they tolerate frustration better, and get into fewer fights. So that's why children who don't learn to use emotional language have a hard time labeling and understanding their own feeling, as well as accurately identifying how others feel. So that's why the strong foundation, if it is there in the emotional health of the child, then definitely child is going to be healthier. Then there are 4 strategies that develop emotional health. So what are the 4 strategies? Using the adult or child relationship to expand an individual child's uh, awareness of his emotions or feelings. So actually first important is that they should understand the relationship, as well as they should be aware of their own emotions and feelings. Finding opportunities in the group, setting to talk about feelings. Then using enriching language tools, because they should know how to label them. Modeling positive relationship. So all these 4 strategies to develop emotional health is very important. Then the other strategies to develop emotional health, actually what we will see that in detail is that using adult or child relationship to expand an individual child awareness of his emotions or feelings, where verbally acknowledging and labeling emotions which are expressed by the child in care. So actually here we should know that suppose child is playing with the ball, and he doesn't want to actually keep that ball away, but there is a lunch time. So what mother will do is that she will tell that yes, we are playing with the ball, but the ball has a special space where that will also have a rest, and then she will take him to lunch. So that type of labeling and verbally acknowledging is very important. Means they have acknowledged their feelings, and then label emotions that now you are hungry and now you need food. So that's how assisting child with regulating their emotion is very important. Then talking about the fact that feelings can change. So this is again very important factor that you are not always, you should not label that this child is very angry or this child is very depressive, but that feelings can be changed. So you should know, actually teach them that assisting child with the regular emotions, which is very important. Then you should like the person, not the activity. So maybe that activity can be different, but that person is not bad. Using questions about feelings to see if the child can respond. So that is again very important. Then another strategy, that is finding opportunities in the group setting to talk about feelings, that taking advantage of teachable moment. Teachable moment is a very important factor. That when child experience difficulties with the peers and need added support to resolve that, and staying close to support children in difficult encounters with other children. So actually, you should tell the children that yes, आप लड़ो, हम आपके साथ है. So letting children know through your calm approach that conflict is to be expected and it can be resolved with the help. That is again very important. That children should know that through their calm approach that conflict is to be expected. होने वाला है, कुछ तो भी प्रॉब्लम आ सकते हैं, but they can be resolved. So that is again very important. Then finding opportunities in the group setting to talk about feelings. Here again showing positive feeling for both children. Suppose both child want to in the lap of the mother, so give them that opportunity so that they have that positive feeling. Then helping children learn to put into words how they think others are feeling and to express empathy for those feelings. Means actually here, suppose crying. So crying child, you should know why that child must be crying. What should be the reason of that crying child? Such type of discussion should be done with your child. Then encouraging negotiating, so that each child feels that he or she has been heard and that their feelings have been taken into consideration. So that is again very important. So actually here you can ask them, yes, I will give you TD instead of this board or like that. So alternative, giving alternative or negotiating the things should be done with the child's feelings also, so that they can have that opportunity. पहला रैंक नहीं आएगा तो मेरा दूसरा रैंक भी आया तो भी कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. So that is important. कारण I have one case where when my child was in lower KG, actually that doctor mother was there and she met me and she was very nervous. So I asked them why you are so nervous. So she told me he is failed. So I thought that lower KG में कैसे fail हो गया? तो वो बोली अरे वो उसका second rank आ गया मतलब वो fail ही हो गया. So that type of approach should not be there. And then clarifying rules. So it is very important that actually suppose you give some book and that child tears the pages. So that should not happen. You should be firm about that you should use this book. We will need that and you should not tear the pages. So that is important. So actually clarifying rules is also very important. Using enriching language tools. So choosing books, music, finger plays with the rich vocabulary of the feeling words. Using puppetry or felt bold stories that retell common social experiences and that emphasizes the feeling vocabulary and conflict resolution. So here again, it is very important that you should use puppetry or felt bold stories so that common experiences you can tell them with the stories and increase their feeling vocabulary. That is important. Reading stories about characters that children can identify with those who express a range of feeling. Encouraging toddlers to draw pictures of their difficult or scary emotions. So they can actually draw when they have a phobia or they have a fear in their mind. So they can draw and we can understand the feelings of the children. So then modeling positive relationship, which is again very important, that between the adults and in the caretaking. So speaking in the calming voice to which one to other. Hello to everyone, greeting parents with the enthusiasm. So such type of your act is going to definitely give child that guidance that how to behave with the other person. So it is very important that if you like rather than if you don't like, laughing with the children and letting them know that you like their personality. That is again very important. So that children should be praised when it is needed. Then the what are the components? Components of this emotional literacy are identifying feelings, labeling feelings, expressing intensity of feelings, identifying non-verbal cues, and emotional knowledge. Then identifying feelings, we can have that. Let's play some game. Imagine that you are a 10-year-old child and try to fill this blank. So when I am awaiting my result, I feel anxious. So when I'm home late and mom hugs me, I feel good, but actually I'm loved or cared. Then actually labeling of feelings, that is to give name. One needs to improve on feeling word bank, and to be able to give a name to the feeling needs knowledge of newer words. So that is again very important. So I am praised for scoring 99% mark. I feel good, but actually I am proud. Then when I find the famous math tutor for my board exam, I feel good, but actually I am relieved. So that is again, you should label properly. That is important. So when doctors declares my grandpa out of danger, I feel good, but actually I am relieved. Here again, these are the feeling vocabulary, a few of them are there. So that like confused or contained or sad or scared. So such type of label should be should come from the children after when you train them in that type of vocabulary. So like positive vocabulary like comfortable, accepted, loved, or negative vocabulary like rejected, ignore, or angry, sad, hurt. So confused. So actually expressing intensity of the feeling. It is again very important that I feel hurt, but little hurt. Then I feel extremely hurt. I feel hurt 2 out of 10. So such type of expression can be teach to the children. Then selected families of emotions like sadness is expressed by frown or lowered brows or low energy, or anger can be due to the compressed lips or narrow eyes or nose flare. So you should know how that feelings are expressed. So happiness by smile or can be active. So such type of expression are very important. Then non-verbal cues, they are also very important. Our faces often express what we are not saying verbally. Our lips may tremble when we are afraid. Our forehead wrinkles when we are concerned or confused. And when people tap their feelings or feet, they are usually feeling impatient. So emotional knowledge is very important. Recognize what events are likely to trigger different emotions. Knows that emotions can combine to form complex blends of feelings, and realize that emotions can progress over time and transition from one to another, and provides a rich emotional vocabulary for greater precision in describing feelings and blends of feelings. So here getting emotional knowledge is very important, and if you give the emotional knowledge more and more to the child is going to be having more emotionally literate. So what is different between IQ and EQ? IQ deals with the cognitive sphere of the child, but EQ deals with the emotional sphere of the child. IQ is static, that is after 4 years or 5 years, it doesn't change much, only 15% change is there. But EQ is partly genetic, but can be developed at any age. Predict school performance, importance for emotional health, physical and emotional wellness and success. Then IQ, standard tests are available both in both cases. Standard tests are now available. IQ, overall increase in IQ by 15 to 20 points in children in last 3 decades. but deterioration in EQ in all over world in last 2 to 3 decades. So why EQ is decreasing? Because of the atmosphere which is there surrounding them, like media and other parents. Actually, मेरे पास एक पोएम है कि जिसमें उसने बोला था कि मेरे लिए बात करने के लिए 1 घंटा, that should be birthday gift for me. So that type of thing is not available for them. That's why there is a problem. So what are the activities we can give to activities to improve emotional literacy? So enhancing like direct teaching, indirect teaching, use of songs and games, and use of children's literature. So here they can guess the emotion. So ask them to guess the emotion. What are the emotions? Crying or happy or whatever the emotions are there. Then direct teaching. Here actually direct teaching is involve planning specific activities, opportunities for child to increase their emotional vocabulary, as well as to start to discriminate what different facial expression, emotions and might look like. So that is again important. Then indirect emotions are also there. Emotions of example of emotion cards are there. So here this type of card should be prepared in the school as well as in the home. And then the teacher can actually keep a board where they should stick the pictures of their children as well as cuttings from the newspaper, where same feeling, like I feel proud. So today they are going to teach how I feel proud. So all that proud feelings actually pictures will be stick to that board. So like that you can change the board every day. Then indirect teaching where provide emotional labels such as child experience various affective state, like here Tamika and Tanya really feel happy to be playing together. So they keep hugging each other. So like that. Then use of songs and games and simple games. So if you are happy and you know it, and new words to teach feelings, like if you are sad, you know it. Cry a tear, boo hoo. If you are mad and you know it, use your words. I am mad. You are scared and you know it, ask for help. Help me. This is again very important, that if you are scared, in adolescence especially, it is important to ask for the help. Saying no is again very important skill. If you are happy and you know it, hug a friend. If you are tired and you know it, give a yawn. Then sample games, like how does your face look when you feel proud? What makes you feel proud? Actually, this is the Spanish words are there, so you can tell them these words also. And like simple games can be there with these feelings. So actually here, when you ask them to teach this, all this, how to play, how would you feel if? So discuss typical situation. What happened when the child are together? How you would you feel if this happened to you? So Ramesh wanted to play ball with the Rohan and Gururat today, but they won't let him. So how do you think that made him feel? How do you think you would feel if that happened to you? So what could Ramesh try next time? Such type of question should be asked to the child, so that child will definitely know their feelings. The feeling dice. Here again, you can have a feeling dice with you, where toss the dice, label the feeling face, and describe a time they feel that way. So that can be done. Then actually here checking in, how do you feel today? So teacher and children can check in each morning by choosing a feeling face that best describes their affective state and putting it next to their name. So children can be encouraged to change their feeling faces throughout the day as their feelings can change. So that is again very important. So this is how I feel today. So maybe frustrated, then maybe proud in the evening. So like that, you can ask them to stick these feelings. Then stories of emotion. So you to explain actually grief, guilt, jealousy, or hurt, you can tell them different stories regarding that. Then these are the pictures for the feelings. Then managing anger and impulse. So recognizing the anger can interfere with the problem solving. It is very important in learning how to recognize anger in oneself and others, and learning how to calm down. Actually, understanding appropriate ways to express anger is very important. And aggression and inadequate impulse control are perhaps the most potent obstacles to effectively problem solving and successful relationship in the children. So aggressive children are more likely to experience peer rejection. And that's why it is important to identify the anger and to find the solutions for the anger. So teach the children how to calm down. Take three breaths, or actually आप ऐसे करो 1 to 50 काउंट करो, या 10 विलेजेस के नाम ले लो, या कोई भी ऐसे blow the candle. So such type of things. Wait for 6 seconds is the actually there is a one institute in the US like 6 seconds. So they tell that you wait for 6 seconds and calm down yourself. So that is again very important. Then relaxation thermometer, where you actually chill out, cool down. Then so take deep breath. So now I was tense, I was in the red. Then I got decreased my these feelings and then got relaxation. Then again, it is one important technique is turtle technique. So what is turtle technique? Recognize that you feel angry. Then think, stop, go into shell, take 3 deep breaths, and think calm, coping thought. Come out of shell when you are calm and think of a solution. So this is called as turtle technique. Then how to increase your own emotional awareness. So emotion log, then journal writing, painting, drawing, music, sit in silence, time spent, practice relaxation technique. And again, it is important that actually becoming an emotional coach parent. So emotional coaching is important. So what are the 5 steps to for emotional coaching? Be aware of child's emotion. Recognize emotional expression as an opportunity for intimacy and teaching. Listen empathetically and validate feelings. Help the child verbally, label emotions. Setting limits while helping the child problem solve. So that is important. So then what are the strategies for emotional coaching? So strategies like always go stepwise. Don't miss any step. Never criticize or humiliate. Be patient and positive, and never impose your solution, but give choices. Use specific praise. So give children just enough information to get started, talking to in a slow, calm manner. Then wait for the child to do something right and other specific praise for that action. Add just a little bit more instruction and repeat it. So when to postpone emotion coaching, that is important. When the child is pressed for time, or presence of audience, or too tired, or need to address serious misbehavior. So then at that time, you immediately should not do that. Later on, you can do the emotional coaching, and child is taking on emotion to manipulate. So I think we have almost covered all how to do emotional literacy, increase emotional literacy, and definitely emotional literacy will help the children to actually get more success in their life. Thank you very much. It's over to Sulba. Madam, please unmute yourself. Sulba madam, please unmute. Madam, you are muted. Please unmute yourself. Madam, we cannot hear you. Unmute yourself. Hello.
It looks like there is some technical glitch on her side. She's not able to
Acha,
unmute herself.
I think so.
Can we request the Maha IP
हो
technical support?
सर मॅडम तुम्ही अनम्यूट होऊ शकताय सुलभा मॅम
नाही म्हणतात त्या.
को होस्ट परमिशन आहे मॅडम तुम्हाला ऑलरेडी मॅडम तुम्ही ऑलरेडी को होस्ट आहात तुम्हालाच अनम्यूट करावं लागेल आय एम सेंडिंग अ रिक्वेस्ट सुलभा मॅम आता येतोय आवाज तुमचा हॅलो
Yes, yes. आता येतोय आवाज माझा?
हो हो
आता
Yes. The host was not allowing me to become unmute for some time. After
मॅम
this
तुमचा
enlightening
दुसरा आयडी
session,
को होस्ट होता
yes, yes. Actually, सुरुवातीला प्रॉब्लेम झालेला होता त्यामुळे. Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir has enlightened us about emotional literacy very nicely. And we know that why we want to know our emotions now, so that we can regulate them positively for a good, successful outcome. Dr. Nishikant
Yes,
Kotwal, sir, our Maharashtra HA chairperson, is here today with us. So he want to give some remarks about Dr. Sujit Tamburi sir's talk today. Sir, any remarks or any questions are welcome. Nishikant, sir.
it was a wonderful presentation. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
Suchit, to talk about you is really a stupid thing as far as I am concerned, because you are too big a person on these two subjects, and your study, your research, your presentation are well known. So this was a wonderful presentation, and post-COVID era, we are recognizing emotional intelligence as the most important factor for proper living or to become more and more happy. So it has become more important for parents. Parents were always interested in intelligence quotient.
Yes.
But we know for living or for a success in life, IQ is not important, but EQ is important, and the balance of these two would take you to success. Because there are many things in life which are going to happen, and nobody on earth can prevent things which are happening in your life. No money can prevent, no upbringing can prevent, but only the strength, that is emotional balance, can prevent catastrophes in your life and even prevent whatever you are hearing nowadays or reading in newspaper in many places. And the reason behind it is we have not taught them how to control their emotions, how to balance their emotions, and how to go through bad patch and come out of it. So it was a wonderful lecture. Thank you very much, Suchit.
Thank you, sir. Thank
I
you.
wanted to hear for a long time. It's a good thing. And this is important because I am in charge of Adolescent Health Week. And there we have taken the resilience unlocks opportunity. And for a resilience, emotional intelligence is the key factor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we can move ahead to our next lecture. Dr. Amruta Durge.
Yes.
Dr. Amruta Durge is consultant pediatrician and neonatologist in Thane Kids Clinic as well as Kaushalya Hospital, Medical Hospital in NSU Thane. She is facilitator of Equip Kids Training Center for Allergy, Adolescent Medicine and Breastfeeding and Lactation, Emotional Intelligence and Mental Health in Pediatric and Adolescents. I know that Amruta has done a great work in adolescent emotional intelligence. We will come to know from her lecture only So we are moving ahead to the next lecture, well-rounded approach towards the emotions. Dr. Amruta Durge, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sulma, for that kind introduction. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, Amruta.
I'll start sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, 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 madam.
Thank you, sir. I hope this is a full screen now.
Yeah, yeah.
So at the outset, I would like to thank MahaIP, the Nashik IIP, and the Nashik Adolescent Health Academy for giving me this opportunity to talk on this platform and connect with the pediatricians. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Sulva Pawar, madam, and I'm really delighted that Dr. Nishikant Kotwal is here to attend this session. After a great talk by a stalwart like Dr. Sujit Tamburi, it's actually my privilege to take the session ahead. I am going to talk about emotional intelligence and how it can be a way to a well-rounded development of adolescents. So, as we all know already, emotions, all of them, it's an integral factor in all our endeavors, all human endeavors, right from when we are born till the end of our lives, through all the phases, how we thrive is dependent on emotions and our own emotional quotient. Hence, we need to address the salient features and the domains of emotional development in our lives. Before going there, let me share with you what has been a paradigm shift when it comes to emotions. So, the old paradigm said that emotions are abstract. Emotions cannot be pinpointed. It's a feeling, it's a being. How can you structure it? Emotions get in your way. They make you less effective. They make you weak. A person who is emotional, who is too sensitive, is a weak person. They need to be controlled. You need to suppress your strong emotions, intense emotions, and negative emotions. You need to reject them. They interfere in your decision making capacity. Also, it was believed that if you ignore the negative, the intense, the so called wrong emotions, they die down after a while. And emotional nature of someone cannot be changed. As they say in Marathi, they used to say in Marathi, Swabhavala aushad nahi. Is that really a true paradigm? Well, the new paradigm has a lot to say. The new paradigm says and believes that emotions are not abstract. In fact, they are real. They are there in our body. They exist in our body in the form of neuropeptides. And this is a scientifically fact. Emotions don't get in our way. In fact, they guide our self-awareness and self-being. Emotions don't make us less effective or weak. In fact, they carry precise information and data which we can utilize. And hence, we need to pay attention to the emotions and utilize them for optimum living. They do not really interfere in decision making. In fact, they drive our thoughts and our decision making. They do not die down when we ignore. Emotions suppressed, emotions ignored are not emotions gone. They are non biodegradable. And hence, we all time to time say or hear this suppressed emotions in some phase of life burst out or explode at some other time. And that's not really a good thing, isn't it? Now, the best and the good news emotional nature or someone's nature that cannot be changed, this paradigm has shifted that emotional nature or emotional intelligence can be learned, practiced, nurtured, and enhanced. How good is this and how cool is this? Emotions drive the daily living across ages, right from an infant, a toddler, to a school going child, to an adolescent, to anyone who is called grown up. Today, we are going to talk about emotional intelligence pertaining to the adolescents. So, why adolescents are unique? Why are we talking about adolescents here? Adolescence is experienced to be a difficult, sometimes dreaded phase by both parents and caregivers as well as adolescents themselves. Why? It is a period of transition. It involves a series of changes. What are those changes? We know there are biological and physical changes happening and at a pretty rapid speed, sometimes overwhelming speed. There are psychosocial changes. The adolescent is in the need of a lot of psychological reinforcement. There are cognitive changes. An adolescent is in the need of having own thoughts, opinions. There are social changes, the peers, the expectations from the family, the expectations from the society of an adolescent are coming up in a huge way. So there is an increased need of independence, space for self, finding the self-worth and an identity. There is an increased need to cope with stress, fear, and pain. And what are those because of? There is, well, an academics, we especially in our society, in Indian society, there is a huge importance given to academics and academic success. Also, as and how the academics is progressing, the adolescents have to have their own career choices. There is an overwhelming biological change happening. There is importance given by the adolescent himself or herself over the body image. There is a peer pressure. Well, peer pressure for both acceptance as well as rejection. There are interpersonal relationships, family, friends, and also there are many new relations come up. There are romantic liaisons come up. There is a reliance and dependence on these friendships. Adolescents look at their friends more often than their own family sometimes, and there is a constant influence of social media in today's age. Many times we as pediatricians have come across situations where parents and caregivers actually looked at as distant people or frankly terrible people by these adolescents. So now how to manage such diverse challenges, cope with such pressures, bring on the learning for personal growth and a thriving, successful life for an adolescent. So I would like to quote this study by Rocio Collado Soler and the others in the Journal of Psychology, Research and Behavior Management. This was published last year, April 2023. This study has collated many other studies, and the inference that was drawn was that there are two particular traits or mechanisms that are crucial to achieve this goal. As Dr. Nishikant Kotwal just mentioned, emotional intelligence and resilience. So, what is emotional intelligence? Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir has very beautifully presented to us. This is a definition given by Salovey and Mayer in 1999. So, it's the ability to perceive emotions, to access and generate them so as to assist the thought, to understand the knowledge behind these emotions, and to effectively regulate them so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. So, in a nutshell, it's a scientifically validated function of the human brain to process and utilize emotions to lead life in an optimum capacity. Having said that about emotional intelligence, what is a resilience? Resilience is the capability to withstand and cope with adversities and bounce back from difficult situations. In this study, it was found out that emotional intelligence and resilience are directly proportional to academic performance and are inversely proportional to the school burnout. What does resilience do? How does resilience work? Resilience comes in from a lot of self-motivation capacity and optimism, thereby commitment to studies, responsibilities, and commitment to one's own goals, and hence it would lead to a good or better academic and professional achievement. And how does emotional intelligence work? Emotional intelligence makes one capable to utilize emotional and social resources, one's own mental resources, thereby developing a well-adapting persona, and also it's a good mediator, it's a healthy mediator between family attitudes and also the interpersonal relationships. Resilience and emotional intelligence, they themselves are strongly correlated. So to develop both these traits, what do we do? How do we help ourselves and also adolescents. So there need to be a series of internal mechanisms that need to be developed. So Daniel Goleman, I'm sure you all must have heard this name. So he is a stalwart in the field of emotional intelligence, and he had proposed this 5-step model to develop emotional intelligence, which consists of self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and relationship skills. Out of this self-awareness, as a part of emotional literacy, again, Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir has very beautifully put forward to all of us. To achieve or to start on this, working on this model and to nurture emotional intelligence, there are some micro skills that one need to look at. So emotional literacy, we have seen that. Emotional management, empathy and relationship skills, optimism, and emotional harnessing skills. Emotional literacy, what was that? Emotional self-awareness forms the very first part. The vocabulary and labeling, as Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir has said. Let me also help you all with a tutorial model here. So this is called Plutchik Wheel of Emotions. This is freely available on internet. Okay, you all can take this. This is important to have as a visual aid because vocabulary, the general vocabulary is something that we are very well aware of. In fact, for our infants and toddlers, we as pediatricians and also as parents, we give a lot of vocabulary. We teach them ABCD, we teach them fruits and vegetables and whatnot. This is also a right age to introduce them to emotional vocabulary. And for that, we need to have the vocabulary that are in front of us. So Plutchik model can be used. This is a wheel or a flower model, and various emotions and their names as per their intensities are depicted here. So this can be used. Now, what do we do after learning the vocabulary? Labeling the emotion is an important part. How is labeling important? Labeling makes you work on identifying as accurately as possible what emotion you're going through. If emotion is not labeled as accurately as possible, where does it lead? It leads to an emotion being misunderstood most of the time. That may lead to a wrong or counterproductive decision making, and hence labeling emotion would be as accurately as possible would be important. So after learning the vocabulary, after able to accurately identify and label it, what next? What does this emotion tell me? So the knowledge behind the emotion or the wisdom behind the emotions. Wisdom behind the emotion says that like we said in the new paradigm, every emotion is coming with a data or information. So for example, let's talk about the most commonly talked about emotion. What is anger? What is the wisdom behind that? Anger tells you that my way is blocked. So what is the learning here? The learning was that what is it that I desire? What is blocking my way? Is it an appropriate desire or not? So if it is blocking my way, how do I navigate? What could be my solutions? Let me try my solutions or let me ask for help. Similarly, if we look at sadness as the emotion, the wisdom behind it is I'm losing or am I at risk of losing something that I care for? And then what is the learning? What is it that is lost? Or what is it that is at the risk of being lost? How valuable is it for me? How does it affect my emotional well-being? When there is this clarity, it helps to work out the measures to take to save it, to save the thing that is being lost. It reinforces what should be created in the future. If one has already faced a loss, clarity about that sadness helps to process the loss and accept it in a more healthy fashion. So that is about the wisdom behind emotion. The next micro skill is managing this emotion. How does one manage? Yes, fine, you have identified your emotion, you have labeled it correctly. One more thing, labeling the emotion correctly is helpful because, especially in the intense emotions, because it is scientifically proven that when you identify and label an emotion as correctly as possible, the intensity of that emotion is brought down a few notches to an extent where it is easier to manage further. So, first step would be open and curious and accept. What does this mean? For example, if I am experiencing jealousy, Jealousy is not a feeling or an emotion that one is generally proud of, or one would say very openly, oh, I'm jealous about you, I'm jealous about something. It is something that is generally not very well accepted by yourself. If it is not accepted by yourself, how will the others accept it? So we have said in the new paradigm shift that all emotions are valid. All emotions are to be accepted. Once you are open and curious, it is easier to accept. What next? Regulating the disturbing emotions, thereby soothing self. This is a micro skill, an essential one at that. Next, dealing the gratification and impulse control, especially when it comes to the age group that we are talking about today, the adolescents. Adolescence is a period where they seek instant gratification and instant reward or acknowledgement. And hence, in this phase, delay the gratification, control the impulse. This micro skill comes in very, very vital. Next, apply the consequential thinking. So what if I'm having this emotion? And so what if it is telling me what is it that I'm getting this emotion because of? What are my thoughts now? Well, how does this emotion play out ahead? Consequential thinking, what are the effects? What could be the effects of me having this emotion and acting upon it? Are these consequences good? Are they healthy? Are they constructive for my being, or are they not? That is what is meant by consequential thinking. And thereby, one is able to then choose a constructive response. Empathy and relationship skills. How important this can be. We are working on ourselves. Do we only work on ourselves, or do we work on the significant others in our surrounding? And how does working on significant others help? Well, there comes in picture empathy. We all know sympathy and empathy and the difference between them. The simple example that I always use when I have to talk about empathy and sympathy. So the story of the horse. How do you make the story of a person who is poor, who is a pauper, and how do you help such a person who you see has been hungry for days? You may offer this person food, or as the story goes, fish to eat, or you may help this person to learn how to go fishing. Empathy helped me understand that this is a poor person, does not probably have any skills to survive. I may offer him a help for the time being, or at the same time, I may also offer him a help that helps him thrive well. And this is what empathy is. So, empathy is the tuning in with other person's emotions. And not just that, it is also understanding emotion from that person's point of view. So you see, it is both. It is an emotional empathy. You gelled well with that person's empathy, and you also understood why this person might be having this behavior, emotion. And that's a lot of cognitive part of it. This helps in making and keeping intimate relationships and friends. It also involves a lot of listening and communication skills. Unless you hear someone out and completely, you may not be able to empathize optimally. The next micro skill is optimism. One may be emotionally literate. One may also have a lot of devices and thoughts and strategies to manage emotions. But what if one feels helpless, brought down when there are adversities that come through? This is where the skill of optimism helps in. Optimism makes one learn to catch thoughts. What are my thoughts? How accurate are they? Is this a thought that is constructive or not? I challenge my own thought and I dispute the wrong thoughts. What do I mean by this? For example, if we all have experience in our lives that there are things or there are some actions where we time to time go wrong. And then what is the immediate or the quick thought that crosses our mind? Oh, this always happens with me. I'm always poor at this. Stop. Can you catch this thought? Can you challenge? When I said, oh, this always happens with me. The challenge is, really, does that happen always? Has it never happened that you have done it well? Dispute it. I'm always poor fellow at this action. Dispute. Am I really poor at this? Have I never done this better? Have I never succeeded? So that is what is meant by challenging and disputing. And then choose realistic thoughts. What does it mean? It has happened that many times I have done this wrong, or many times I have failed at this, but there have been times that I have been able to do it correctly. And hence, there are chances that I might be able to do it correctly more often. Maybe I need to pay more attention. Maybe I need to change my ways. This is what is meant by optimism. Decatastrophization. Sometimes we are catastrophizing the whole situation in our mind so often that it becomes an emotion pattern or it becomes a thought pattern. One needs to learn to break this pattern and decatastrophize the situation. And the last micro skill and very important is emotional harnessing skill. What does this mean? Intrinsic motivation. How do I harness myself from adversities? How do I bring on resilience as my virtue? This is where comes intrinsic motivation. What do I mean by this? Let me ask all of you. If there has been a task that is given, or if there has been an exam that one has to clear, if there is a chance, or if there actually it happens that you have done well, but there have not been many appreciations or accolades, how do you feel? Versus, how do you feel when there are many congratulatory messages? There are many people who are raving about how you did well, how you succeeded. When you get accolades, when you're acknowledged, when you're appreciated, anyone would feel good about it, anyone would be motivated. But there are situations where there are not many people, or there are not many acknowledgements and appreciations coming in. And yet, do you feel motivated? This is where your intrinsic motivation comes in. Intrinsic motivation is driven by the values that you have learned and that are your family values or that are your core life values. Next is problem solving. When you are motivated enough, despite the adversities, you may look out for ways of problem solving, decision making, and conflict resolution. With all these skills, with the emotional intelligence and how it can be nurtured, let's look at the common concerns now in the adolescents. So adolescents, as we know, they are prone to anger, they're prone to aggression and defiance. There are also many instances of sadness and depression, many times over trivial issues. Adolescents are oftentimes distracted. Incomplete focus is also an issue that they themselves discuss, especially when it comes to academics. There is lack of gratitude and behaving entitled. We have recently been hearing this in news of incidents in Pune, where an underage has behaved entitled in all possible ways. Then there is excessive indulgence in social media. There is excessive consumption of digital content. And then there are maladaptive behavior, substance abuse. These are some of the common concerns that we are looking at. So when we talk about these concerns, we are also talking about the intensity of the behaviors and hence the intensity of emotions. Let's understand what is the neuroscience behind these intense emotions. Have a look at this picture. So this is brain, the emotional brain and the thinking brain in a nutshell. When you look at the sensation, or let's say the stimulus, it could be visual, auditory, or any stimulus. It is perceived or it's taken in by thalamus, which acts as an air traffic controller. It has the job, let's say, to navigate the sensations towards different parts of body. Most of the times it is diverted, sensation is diverted to the neocortex or the cortex, which acts like a translator. And also simultaneously or along that, the sensations are also driven to the limbic brain, the hippocampus, hypothalamus, thalamus, and amygdala. Hippocampus acts as a watchful tower, and amygdala houses the reactions. And hence, this system together of amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus, they are called the emotional headquarters. What happens when there are intense emotions? This is what we call emotion hijack. So as you see, the sensation has reached thalamus, but then before it is transmitted to the cortex, it has been directed quickly, or it has been taken in quickly by the emotional brain, that is hippocampus and amygdala. Amygdala and hippocampus have been the initial part of brain evolution. So they are associated with quick responses, with responses that are associated with fight, flight, or freeze. So when they are very prone to sense stimuli in the form of dangers. And hence, when it is sensed as a danger, whether it's a genuine danger or a perceived danger, amygdala comes into action and gives out responses. How is it this important in terms of learning emotional intelligence? Emotional hijack is the reason and the mechanism behind the intense reactions or the intense behaviors or the maladaptive behaviors in all age groups, especially adolescents. Additionally, in adolescents and even in the younger preteen age group, the neocortex and the part of neocortex that is prefrontal cortex, which is associated with a lot of reasoning, cognitive function, is yet developing. And hence, the emotional hijack happening with the emotional brain or limbic brain comes into foray much more prominently than the prefrontal cortex reasoning and cognitive function. So, what can be done to avoid this emotional hijack? Can we train ourselves? Can we train the adolescents and give them some tools? As Dr. Suchit Tamburi sir has also mentioned, there is a tool, a simple tool, simple, very, very practicable, and very effective tool called 6 seconds pause. Before going into what is the 6 seconds pause, why 6 seconds? Scientifically, it is proven with lot of studies with functional MRIs and imagings that when there is an emotional hijack happening or is about to happen, there is a burst of these neurotransmitters, and the burst lasts for approximately 6 seconds, after which it can be brought down. So if one can offer a 6 seconds pause to the brain, the emotional hijack and the intense outburst can be prevented. Now, how do we do this 6 seconds pause? There are many techniques. 3 deep breaths. So you all can breathe in deeply, and by 3 deep breaths, we mean 3 deep inhalations followed by 3 deep exhalations. Try doing this. Even if you do simply 3 of these rotations, it gives you minimum 6 seconds pause. There can be other measures. One may count reverse. One may think of 5 different places, 5 friends, 5 relatives, 5 most favorite food, anything that gives you a 6 seconds pause. This can be practiced in various intense emotions, not just anger, but also fear, crippling fear, stress, and anxiety. In fact, as the Austrian neuroscientist and psychologist Viktor Frankl has said, and this is my favorite quote, between the stimulus and the response lies a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And in our response lies growth and freedom. Instead of reacting, if we can respond, the life is much more easy and emotionally intelligent. So, what do we mean by now offering a nurturing or a training in emotional intelligence? We give before we expect. What does it mean? We as caregivers, we pediatricians, or as parents also, what do we do? How can we offer emotional harness to our adolescents? The first and foremost, and this works extremely effectively, is attentive listening. This is a genuine, undivided, not judgmental listening ear. How this can be done? Starting with lighter topics of child's interest. They can be daily events, they can be news. Invite the child, the adolescent, to share thoughts, opinions. Here, avoid judgmental remarks. Avoid offering a quick fix, a solution, as soon as the child comes up with some opinion. Okay. By doing this, the child starts to feel heard. This ensures bonding, and this definitely ensures open communication channels, which will thwart any future situations of risky or maladaptive behaviors. Gradually, one can move over to serious topics. Here, we also time to time identify what can be the triggers which will lead this active listening into a dreadful communication. Identify these triggers. Exercise self-regulation here first. Thereby, you model self-regulation for the teenager also. And active listening has been put forward very in much detail and very accurately in a study article by Joni Sweet. This was a study done in University of Reading and University of Alpine, UK, whereby the age group of 13 to 16 years and approximately 1,000 teens were interviewed, and active listening came up prominently as one of the tools that the parents can offer the teenagers where they feel heard and where they feel communicating with their own parents and caregivers. Active listening models active listening in the adolescent. The micro skill that we talked about, empathy. Empathy would only come if one is equipped with active listening as a micro skill. So that fosters learning empathy. It fosters bonding, improves relationships, reduces anger, anxiety, and turning to substance abuse. Next is gratitude. So how can we inculcate gratitude? A simple tool, again, gratitude journaling. We may encourage all our kids, even younger kids, pre-teen kids, to write their own gratitude journal. They can write 3 good things every day, 3 good things in that day, or 3 good things in the past week, maybe. Why are they good? What do they mean by being good? How did they help the child? What is it that the child feels grateful about? When child starts thinking in this manner, it redirects the child away from entitled behavior. This would make the child obviously very happy and satisfied rather than asking for things and not valuing them. Then there is mindful breathing. Mindful breathing also promotes self-awareness. It also helps to practice the 6 seconds pause and protects from intense emotions. So these are some of the tools that can be practiced by the parent to nurture emotional intelligence in adolescents. Let's have a quick chat about the screen, gadgets, and gaming. This forms a huge part in the lives of teenagers and adolescents today. This is a huge topic in itself. Maybe a half-day CME can happen over this topic. But in a nutshell, smart devices as little as possible should be the mantra. Limit access to the screen and to the gadgets to a minimum possible times. You all know that as pediatricians, WHO guidelines are there, our national IP guidelines are there. So minimum possible time as per the age group. And importantly, practice what you preach as a parent. It cannot be a minimal possible time to the child and maximum possible time to the parent. Know what they access. Is it age appropriate or not? Social media or screen use should happen in a common family area. It should not be behind the closed doors. Also, educate about the perils of screen use and the social media influence. What does this mean? There is a wonderful article. I have tried to put in the link, but I'm not very sure if it has come as a clickable link down in this slide. This is a wonderful article where many pediatricians, the adolescent health experts have contributed. This is over a comment by none other than Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, the former Twitter, who has said that social media and all of them, including gaming, this is an artificial intelligence driven dopamine trap. There is such intense competition between different social media and different gaming platforms to encourage and invite maximum user interaction that the AI algorithms are put in to enhance the dopamine surge or the dopamine driven engagement of the users. Now imagine if this happens to grown-ups and adults, and you know many adults who are themselves addicted to the screens and to the social media. Adults who have a so-called well-developed prefrontal cortex that is intact with cognitive function, that is intact with reasoning, come down to the adolescents. There is yet developing prefrontal cortex, and there is hardly any reasoning or there is hardly any guidance coming from your own brain. But there is a dopamine surge. Hence, this falls into a trap, and thereby it makes a teen almost glued to the social media and to the extent of addiction. So, time to time, this can be talked to the teenagers, and keep the channels of communication always open so that even if there are some misguided adventures happening there, there should be communication and safety that can be provided. Parental control over the gadgets is a necessity of the time. Gaming is also a part of this whole business, but let the adolescents know that gaming is just a part of recreation. It's not the only one. Always offer it only as a privilege after the child, the teenager, has completed the responsibilities, and it should not be offered as a right. So, what are the qualities that emotional intelligence and resilience help with in an adolescent's personality? Personality is more caring and kind. So here, empathy and emotional regulation have helped in. An adolescent who is more confident is obviously more aware of self, is motivated, and has optimism as a emotional micro skill, is determined. Thereby, there is a lot of impulse control. There is emotional awareness. There is goal setting, and hence a determined behavior. There is self-sacrificing persona. Why? Because there is a delayed gratification. Again, impulse control and empathy that is practiced. Leadership qualities come. Who is a good leader? A good leader is someone who actively listens first, who is empathetic, who has clear goals, who has constructive way of expressing thoughts, emotions, who has good relationship skills. We went through all of this as our emotional intelligence micro skills. So if one has these skills intact, obviously the leadership qualities will come in pretty good. And last but not the least, in fact, the most important, resilience. So a resilient adolescent is someone who is optimistic, who has a lot of intrinsic motivation, and who has his own emotional harnessing skills. Thus, an emotional intelligence nurtured and enhanced would help to create an identity of self, a lot of self-awareness, handling stress, effective communication, empathy and interpersonal relationship, conflict resolution. Is definitely less likely to be maladaptive, is more resilient and optimistic, and has a lot of clarity in decision making. Having said this and shared the emotional intelligence and the micro skills, I would like to also urge all of you who are all pediatricians, also as parents, we have a lot of responsibility, and at the same time we have a lot of privilege because we see children from early age, and many of us see children up to 18 years also, that is completion of adolescence. We have a great opportunity to offer help and guidance here. Just the way we take our history for developmental milestones, we also talk about academic performance. We may start using at least some of our visits, the non-urgent or the non-emergency visits, to have a word or two about how the child's behavior is. Thus, we can easily interpret what could be the family environment like is, what are the stresses like, especially with preteens and teenagers. We can definitely talk about their screen exposure, the time that they spend over social media. This can be done not just with the parent, but the adolescent himself or herself. We may put in a word or two about many of these emotional intelligence micro skills. Thereby, we do instill the drive to nurture emotional intelligence. If we do that, I think we have the privilege to prevent a lot of maladaptive behavior coming in from this young sect of our society. Thank you so much.
Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
After this wonderful expression of emotions and emotional intelligence by Dr. Sujit Tamburi sir, as well as Dr. Amruta Durge, I would like to ask Dr. Chitra Kulkarni madam to give us some remark about Dr. Amruta's talk today. Madam, unmute. Chitra madam, you are muted.
Chitra ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
My permission was not there. First of all, let me thank Sangeeta ma'am and Sulbha ma'am for giving me this opportunity. And Dr. Amruta has beautifully unwinded the various aspects of emotional intelligence. The par excellence presentation as well as the slides. The basic changes of changing society is paucity of time. There is no time for young parents. Presently, both the parents are working and the child is given everything except the time they want from parents. Second aspect is emotionally unavailable parents. They are engrossed in their own growth. Along with this media influence, which is there on all of our mind, the parent's mind as well as the child's mind. So in today's world, only two things are required, that is increasing the family time with physical activities like going outdoors and the sports in the schools, which will improve the resilience of the coming generation. Thank you. Over to
If
Dr.
anyone
Sulbha.
want to, if anyone is having their questions, they can ask now. Dr. Morris sir has raised hand few time, some time back. Anybody want to have some comments?
Can I
Dr. Bharti
comment?
Modi madam? Yes, sir.
If I'm allowed, I can comment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful lecture, Amruta. It was too good. And since you started with emotional energy which is stored, so ignorance doesn't help. That was a very good sentence. Because in evolution also you see that the after a kill, the person who were the Adi Manav, they used to shout, and they used to burn their neurotransmitters which are stored that time. I think that can help you in not having ego, because any success breeds ego, and ego ultimately leads to failure. So the AI-driven dopamine, as you rightly said, that now it is being used for gaming. I think AI used other things also by neurotransmitters are leading to the suicides also, which were happening in the previous games like Blue Whale and other things. You have very rightly said that there is a wisdom in the regulation and management of emotions, because emotions are life, like stress in life is an essential thing. There is a little difference between what is empathy and sympathy, because I call empathy as a positive thing and a sympathy as a negative thing. Common examples are breakups. So if you are a sympathizer, what will happen? That you will go there and say, how did it happen? Why did it happen? And the person whose heart is broken up would say, मलाच का झालं, माझ्याच आयुष्यात का होतं, as you rightly said. But if you are an empathizer, you will say, were you happy with the relationship? Do you really think you wanted to continue with it? And why don't you accept and come out? Because this can happen with anybody. Let's move ahead. These are wonderful things which Dr. Amruta you said. So Suchit and Amruta, you have really enlightened me. I've learned a lot from you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sulba, I've unmuted just to let everybody know that the article that I talked about the AI-driven dopamine trap, I've shared the link of this article in the chat box, so everyone can have a look at this article.
If anybody want to comment anything, Dr. Bharti Modi, madam.
Yeah, wonderful talk, Amruta, and session is going on very well. You all have been organizing very well. Dr. Tamboli, all of you, all the best.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Our happy
I think
hormones have
today's
been
talk
created
was,
so well by these lectures that we learn various things. It's time we join with you people so that we learn new and new things which we cannot reach at the moment, right?
Yes.
All the seniors.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye. All the best.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those nice comments. Dr. Suchit Tamboli sir and Dr. Amruta Durge, you both have presented so well that I don't think anybody is having any doubts. Dr. Sangeeta Lodha, madam, if you want to comment.
Yeah. I just want to say, Sulba, that the whole sessions from the very beginning is just going on very well. And I'm so happy that Nasik AHA and Maharashtra AHS is doing a really amazing job. And today's lecture was amazing. I had just joined in the very last moment, but whatever I have heard was really presented very well. And thanks to Dr. Amrita and Dr. Suchit Tamboli, sir, they are mind-blowing presentation they had. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Now, on behalf of Maharashtra IAP, Maharashtra AHA and Nashik IAP, I would like to share all good responses from everybody from here, from this lecture. And I would like to thank our Maharashtra IAP President, Dr. Chezara sir, Secretary Dr. Amol Pawar, as well as Maharashtra IAP Vice President, Dr. Gokhale sir. We say sincerely thanks for arranging these kind of lectures for us. And this is the most vast topic which is going to be having very big impact all over the society in coming days. We all know that adolescent is a very vulnerable age. And today, Dr. Suchit Tamboli sir and Dr. Amruta Durge has presented the things so well that nobody is having any doubts in their minds now. If anybody want to talk?
And Silva, you have also moderated very well. That is also one thing, very important thing. Very well moderated.
Now I'm going to just do a formality of Thanksgiving here. Dr. Ram Gopal Chezara, Dr. Amol Pawar, Dr. Gokhale sir, as well as Dr. Nishikant Kotwal sir, Dr. Sangeeta Lodha madam, Dr. Kulkarni madam, Dr. Bharti Modi madam, and all seniors here. We always get motivated from the people like you who are working round the clock to help our pediatricians to move ahead in their academics, as well as to help our children to guide them to get successful in life. I would like to thank Dr. Suchit Tamboli sir and Dr. Amruta Durge for enlightening us on very important and very big, vast topic in very short details. That was a nice presentation till now which I have seen about the emotional intelligence. And I'll ask Dr. Pallavi Dharmadhikari madam that if anybody want to talk, make them unmute and give their remarks in last 1 minute, and afterwards we'll be closing this session.
Yes, ma'am, permission is given.
Good afternoon, good morning.
If anybody want to have some comments?
Yeah, good morning,
Yes, sir.
madam. I'm Dr. Lal from Rourkela, Orissa. Wonderful presentations by both the eminent speakers. My only take on the adolescent thing is that we are keeping games and sports at the background in most of our adolescent bringing up these adolescents in school or home. I think emotional intelligence will really develop very well because losing and winning is part of any game, and that is how they will learn their emotional intelligence as well as combining together in team games. I think a lot of emphasis should be put for the adolescents to be in games and sports to develop their EI. That's my opinion.
Yes, the sports always bring in the resilience in children, which is nowadays we are seeing that is lacking in most of the children. Dr. Amol, if you want to comment.
Yeah, Sulva, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to first of all congratulate Amruta and Suchit sir for an amazing lecture. I myself have done the EQ course with EquiKids and Equipoise and Dr. Sandeep Kelkar, and I'm actually applying those principles in my life. And like how Amruta said, once you name it to tame it, your emotions, you name them and then you tame them. That's how the whole process starts. And it really helps in your daily life because we get faced with a lot of situations, both emotionally. So this EQ skills really helps a lot. I would just like to add one point, which already Chitra Madam has said, that we need to develop the emotional connect with the children to develop the EQ skills because of lack of time and all. And the other thing which I find useful is to add spirituality also to developing EQ skills, because in our Indian culture, family values and nurturing family values goes a really long way in harnessing EQ skills. And that we've seen over the generations, and that thing has actually we've lost the connect with the family values because of the teachings from our older the ancestors which have been teaching in Indian mythology and all. So that will definitely help in developing more EQ skills. Thank you.
Dr. Sulba? Hello.
Yes. Amruta and Dr. Sujit Tamburi sir, thanks from bottom of heart for this lecture now today. And only two important things I just want to add on in all this emotional intelligence. Two more important things nowadays. One is the family time, which we should give to our children, which is the most needed and on priority basis. And second thing is the communication, through which we can develop this emotional intelligence very well. Family time, open communication, and positive vibrations to the children are very important pillars for their success. Thank you all for this lecture. Can we ask Dr. Pallavi to close this session now?